We're going to get started, and first of all, my name is Dale Bumstead. I'm the mayor for the city of Dawson Creek, and this evening we'll be co-chairing the meeting as a joint initiative with acting chair of the Peace River Regional District from Director Brad Sperling, and Mayor McKetty from Pooskoopi is also with us this evening. Tonight was an opportunity we really wanted to obviously engage in and with the community and the region, all of the communities in the region, as it relates to the events that occurred last week and impacted all of us in a way that none of us will wish had occurred. But we thought it was important to be able to, first of all, understand and get through that first initial stage. And now, this evening, with the province of British Columbia and the folks here from the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, to be able to have an opportunity to have some information to the community and to those folks who have been directly or indirectly impacted by the flooding, and to be able to hopefully answer some of those questions that you may have as it relates to next steps and what are some of the availability of options and things that you can be doing to help mitigate the damages that some or all have incurred. So the first thing we thought we would kick off with is really give a bit of an update from each of the community perspectives and the community messages. And so first I'll ask from the Peace River Regional District, Vice Chair, Acting Chair, Director Sperling.
Thank you, Mayor Bumstead. First of all, thank you everyone tonight for attending. The people of the Peace, with fires here a little while ago, once again, we show that we're notorious for helping each other out. Neighbors reaching out, aid and assist each other in this event also. From the district, thank you to our rural people. You're invaluable to us. You're our eyes and ears on the ground, letting us know the situation as it progresses. Once again, thank you to the emergency social service volunteers at CCEOS going. The Peace River Regional District on the 17th, we deployed 2 helicopters to do a flyover. For the areas that are main concern, identifying the damage in the rural areas. Staff have been working hard to attempt to provide outreach as early as possible. These outreach services include deployment of essential services, gas, water, food, and connecting with affected residents for situational awareness on public safety, damage assessment, and remediation work. Our last update, it's estimated we have 418 properties that were affected. 213 are in the area where no road access. 205 in the areas where residents have been seriously affected by the flooding. We employees, please continue to stay informed. Contact the Peace River Regional District. Keep up on any emergency alerts. You can contact the office at 250-784-3200. The Resiliency Center will open tomorrow at 9:15 in the Calvin Kirk Center. And at the back, we also have the One Step at a Time brochures. Please. Sorry. I'm not quite as loud as Dale. I'll read the real important stuff. The Resiliency Center opens tomorrow morning at 9:15 at the Calvin Kirk Center. We have the One Step at a Time program set up the back. But if there's anything you people need, contact the Peace River Regional District. That is the Calvin Kirk Center. That's the Resiliency Center. And that'll be open tomorrow at 9:15. You're going to have to come to the mic. If you have any concerns, come to that resiliency center tomorrow.
Thanks, Brad. And so we will go through a process this evening. We'll give some updates on the communities. We've got Northern Health here that will give an update on their component. We got the Red Cross. And then we'll do infrastructure updates in terms of how each of our communities and the regional district have been impacted and what those components are. And then we'll also absolutely give an update this evening on the Disaster Financial Assistance Program for you. And those people are here this evening to give you an update on that program. So that will be included in tonight for you. And we will have a place at the end of it tonight, and we'll engage in some question and answers for any of you that may have that. So I'm going to give a quick update on behalf of the City of Dawson Creek. On Thursday morning, probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock, was when the floodwaters hit our community. That 90 millimeters of rain that fell on Wednesday just completely overwhelmed our ability and capacity to be able to manage and sustain that. We had a dozen back trucks working through the night up till about 3 or 3:30. And honestly, just trying to stay ahead of the issue around that sewer backup that was starting to build and infiltrate the city system. At about 3 or 3:30, the floodwaters overtook it. We just couldn't continue it, and the floodwaters started to overwhelm the roads and streets. And even if we had been able to continue with the back trucks, we got cut off to the Truckville dump station down on the east end of town. And so it was at that point the floodwaters completely overtook us. We then moved, I got to the office about 4:30 or 5, and we immediately got into public safety. And public safety, to me, was absolutely the key issue at that point. We had lost all 4 of the main north-south streets for our community. 8th Street was overwhelmed. 10th Street Bridge was overwhelmed and run over. We knew at that point 15th Street, we had lost the culvert at 15th Street, so it was gone, that crossing. And 17th Street was consumed. And so immediately we had lost the contact of the north-south connectivity for our community, and the only route was the truck bypass. And so we were really concerned with, and the focus obviously at that point was ensuring that we could manage the emergency measures, emergency response for fire, for police, for ambulance. We have the hospital on one side of town, we have our fire hall on the other, we have the RCMP station on one side of town, we have our seniors facility, the extended care facility. And so at that point through Thursday, it was absolutely about trying to inform and engage in terms of what those components are in terms of impacting the community and the infrastructure, and what we were doing to ensure that if anybody needed our assistance for evacuation, we could look after that. We evacuated about 60 residents through the night. The fire hall, we're going door to door down east of 17th Street on 18th and Chamberlain and Willowbrook. We evacuated those 60 residents, and then, as I say, immediately moved into, through Thursday, was about ensuring public safety. The only link we had was the dangerous goods route, and we were really concerned about the bridge on the dangerous goods route, because if we lost it, we lost complete connection between the north and south of the community. We also already knew that the Snake Pit Road was gone, and so that was another route that was removed from us. We had a conference call with the flood forecast, river forecast, weather advisory at about 11 o'clock Thursday morning. They informed us whether for that day we were out of the extreme rainfall warning. They anticipated we would get another 10 to 15 millimeters of rain Thursday afternoon, and that the river or the creek had crested, the water had crested by that point, and that it would start to recede. And they were absolutely bang on. We didn't get much more rain Thursday afternoon. The creek crested and started to recede. By Thursday night, late Thursday night, about 10 o'clock, we were out, and the river had dropped, the creek had dropped below the 10th Street Bridge, and by early Friday morning, it was down by 9 or 10 feet. And so the reason that one of the things that people questioned is, why didn't you declare a state of local emergency at that point? And Thursday for us was all about ensuring that we maintained the public safety and those components that we needed to. The state of declaring a local emergency gives you as a community, the ability and the authority to move forward. If you need to do certain things, you need to have that declaration completed. And so we did the assessment Friday morning. We were still concerned about connectivity. We were still concerned about the road access for us from north-south. We had 8th Street open by that time. Highways made a decision that they could open 8th Street, but we still didn't have the engineers look at 10th Street Bridge. We knew 15th Street was gone, and we didn't know the extent of what we would have on 17th Street. And it was at that point that, for me, it was about the public safety component of if we lost 8th Street or if we lost another piece of that work, that we were worried that we would have no way to implement emergency measures to implement those repairs. And so that was at that point we made the decision that we would declare a state of local emergency in the event that we needed to do some of that work. By Friday afternoon, we were starting to move through that, and Saturday morning, we engaged administration, our staff, to be able to do the assessment. We wanted to get 10th Street looked at, the bridge at 10th Street looked at immediately, and then started the process of assessing the infrastructure and the damage. Through the emergency response, we put those residents that were evacuated into the hotels and continued to do the work in terms of ensuring that we were there to provide assistance to our residents. And so that's kind of got us to where we were at today. We had a city council meeting today, and now we've started to direct our administration, our staff, in terms of doing some of the work that we feel we need to do in order to move forward. We'll give some infrastructure updates in terms of that later on, but that's kind of a sequence of events that we went through from Wednesday night through to Friday and Saturday morning, when we were able to start then understanding that the floodwaters were receding, and it was now the next step was understand the damage and what we need to do to impact that. So that's kind of the overview from the city of Dawson Creek. And Lorraine, do you want to give a bit? Mayor McKetty from Puscoop.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. The only real issue we have is Poos Park. We had a few houses that were flooded. It was actually localized. So far, July 1st is ongoing. We're just trying to find another venue. Thank you. That's basically all I have to say. We were fine. We did do a state of emergency just in case, but we will be canceling it tomorrow. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Can't hear you.
Hello, my name's Bruce Tate from Grand Valley, Ontario. I met this gentleman, his name is Dudley. He is a senior citizen, his mother's 96 years old, and he paid for insurance for his house and everything, and he has no assistance. There's mildew, rotten meat in the basement and everything, and the insurance says he has no coverage.
So tomorrow morning, the disaster financial assistance office will be open at the Calvin Crook Center. They will be available to deal with exactly those issues that our residents are facing. Yeah. And so that office will be open tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock and available for them to be able to deal with that.
Dudley, come up here and talk to these people, please. Mark, where is it? No, this guy's help not good or anything in this.
That's why exactly why we've got that disaster financial assistance office ready to be open tomorrow morning to assist the residents who are facing those emergency needs that they have for basic life. So that will be open tomorrow morning. And we'll give some more detail about that this evening.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. So there was a representative from Northern Health here tonight. Oh, terrific. Would you like? So I'd like to introduce Nair from Northern Health, from the Public Health Division. Thank you for coming.
Hello. Can you hear? Hello? Yeah. So it's a last minute thing and no paper. We'll have to talk. First of all, updates what happened after the flood. You all know what happened. With the Northern Health, three main things: food safety, drinking water safety, and anything to do with septic, sewage, holding tank, or anything like that. Anything to prevent the public health hazard. We have contacted, I think, about 18 to 20 operators, food service operators in this area, in this impacted area, and inspections were conducted to ensure food safety is protected. So that's done, and no much of an impact. There are places that got impacted by flood and power outage, but we got it under control. The most of the operators knew what to do, and they got it under control essentially before us. So we ensured that we provided them with educational materials, how to clean up after flood, and how to do what to do after power outages and everything. Then comes to drinking water safety. We are in the process of sampling residences around Moberly Lake, so not so much affecting your area here, but I actually got drinking water bottles here. If you are in the rural area, please feel free to come and take some drinking water bottles. I have lots of materials out there. I can work with you after this. Ask any of your questions. Lots of education materials and how to do water sampling, what to do after flood. So if you have a well system or a cistern or any water source that you are sourcing from any contaminated area such as Moberly Lake or any lake or creek system, you need to be concerned of drinking water safety. So we have calculations and formula to help you how to disinfect your well. Depends on your what system that you have, like if you have a deep well or a shallow well, or if you have water cisterns, how to disinfect, what to do, what's the percentage concentration of chlorine that you need to disinfect your water system. I will have a notebook here if you want to provide your name and email address or phone number if you wish. We can email you or call you further if you need more help. I'll leave some of our contact numbers and cards up here so that you can contact us. Even in the future, in the next week or whatnot, if you want to know more about water safety and food safety. You have a question?
Question for you, sir.
Yes.
You're talking about wells, dugouts, and everything else. We're on town water.
Right.
So, do you want me to go get a bottle of water from the grocery store?
So, no, anyone is under...
No, you just back it up a minute because you contradict yourself because you're saying, we're talking about citizens of Dawson Creek. We're on town water.
Right. So,
I'm just going to interrupt. There is rural residents here as well. So there are people that live in the rural area that aren't on town water. And so that's the issue that the public health want to make sure of for those rural residents.
Okay, no, I understand that, but we have the other issues before this too, you know.
So since this is put by regional district and they cover the larger area, not only Dawson Creek, right?
Okay,
that's why I'm covered. So if it doesn't apply to you, that's very good. Your water system is not impacted. Have a question?
I'm just wondering if you have contact information for the BC Safety Authority about residential surfaces that have been contaminated with sewer water, appliances, ducting in your homes, and everything else. It's a pretty controversial issue when I have a senior next door neighbor where an insurance adjuster is saying, oh no, we'll wash your furnace. But when I asked if she had a gas fitter's ticket, she changed her tune. So you guys, BC Safety Authority has to get on board with this too, because if anything's been touched with fecal water, doesn't matter if it's wood, steel, plastic, electrical component, or anything, it is not to be used by human beings.
Right.
Surfaces are supposed to be sprayed down with biocide as quickly as possible, whether they're clean or dirty. Just spray them down to try and control the contaminants that are already starting to grow there.
Right.
Myself, I've been ripping my house apart because 2.5 weeks from now, a cleaning crew should be able to get to my home. I've been working 18 hours a day since Wednesday when I got home from Edmonton. Now, I'm healthy enough to do that. There are senior citizens out there, they don't go on Facebook.
Right.
They need a phone number to call. Maybe a blow flyer in their mailbox saying, contact us if you need emergency help. And I think Northern Health and the BC Safety Authority should be hand in hand on that and get that information out there.
Thank you, and I acknowledge your concern. It's a very valid concern. I do have the BC Safety Health Authority's number at my office. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me, but we can certainly provide that. We don't work in that department. We are representing Northern Health. I'm here to talk to you about the concerns directly with mold, water, food, drinking water specifically, and any septic or sewage systems. If there is any information I can find, you can leave your phone number. I can do that. I can also leave that with regional district. So if they wish, they can put on their website.
I have a question here to ask the board in Dawson Creek.
Sorry, can you come close to the mic, please, sir?
I have a question to ask the board in Dawson Creek. I got a 70-year-old man here that has not got heat, water in his house, paid his insurance bill, and they denied him today. He's flooded out. He hasn't got a home to live in, and I'm helping him out. You know, like, and the insurance company come today and said, oh, you're not covered. What are you going to do about that shit?
Thank you, sir, for your concern, but I'm not sure exactly about that. Northern Health is not doing anything to do with insurance. We are here to help you assist with you educational materials and to see what's important when it comes to air quality, water quality.
Well, just hang on a second. I'm going to go get this old buck here and I'll show you that.
Okay.
No, he's 7 years old and like he's a senior citizen. No one's helping him.
I'm sure maybe other dignitaries here, they may have some answers for your questions. You have something?
So as I said earlier, that's the Disaster Financial Assistance Program that we're going to talk about tonight. We absolutely will explain it. That office is going to be open tomorrow morning. If you have an emergency tonight in terms of your home or the safety of your home, you should, and I'll tell you to call our non-emergency number at the City of Dawson Creek at 782-9898. And they will respond to those emerging issues until that Disaster Financial Assistance Office is open in the morning.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough. I just didn't know. No one told us anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So then, when it comes to mold, you'll need to, if you are impacted by the flood, you may need to consider cutting the drywall out at least a feet above the impact line and dry out inside area, the framing area, before you put new drywall. And so the recommendation is to have a spray of anti-mold material so that no mold is growing. If you have moisture, there's a high likelihood of moisture growing, and if you have mold, you are also impacting your air quality. So any rural residents, as I said, I'm repeating, we have water bottles here. So now quickly going to the sewage and septic safety. Most of the people here in the rural area are on lagoons. And if you are on lagoons, flood may have impacted. If you have overflown your sewage system or lagoon, onto your lawn, onto your basement, you may want to consider disinfecting that area Normally for the lawn, lime is a good material to disinfect. If it's heavily impacted, you may want to consider removing the soil material from there and use new soil if it's heavily contaminated. Sorry? Sorry, I can't hear you. Yeah, you may want to come to the mic, sorry.
Okay, so when there's a natural disaster, the government can come and play to clean it up. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure on that. Northern Health won't do that. Our area is not, we don't get involved in directly assisting that. So you may want to connect with some other government department. I don't know, not sure if City of Dawson Creek or the regional district have some answers for you. I'm not sure. But
I'll be talking with them about that tomorrow, apparently.
yeah, perfect. So yeah. Yeah, so if you have sewage or anything, any sewage liquid onto your lawn or houses, you want to consider completely disinfect it. And chlorine bleach, laundry bleach is a good disinfectant. If you are on a holding tank, what you want to consider is that if flood or any buoyancy have affected your tank, holding tanks, any submersible tank, please consider checking all the piping system and electrical system to ensure the alarms are working so that it's functional. If you are on any other system, such as a very, not so likely here in this area, but if you are on a mount or any at-grade system, in case if you are at all, you want to consider all the piping system are intact. If the piping system are compromised, you are dealing with further issues. So consider approaching an approved or authorized person. So we call them ROWP, ROPE, Registered On-Site Wastewater Practitioners, or any qualified person. Have them look at your system to ensure that it is not compromised. So that's the three main areas. So I'll be here. I'm sure there are many people to talk here. I'll be here to answer your further questions, unless if you have any quick questions here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have a representative from the Canadian Red Cross, Jesse Bowen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know a couple of people have already asked about how do you get support when your place has been flooded. So we will work, Red Cross works with disaster financial assistance and with the local authorities. We do have cleaning supplies here. We brought up a bunch of cleaning kits. We will do assessments with you over the next coming days at our Resiliency Center. Answer your questions, help you assess your needs, and figure out how we can help and what areas we can provide support. If anybody's wanting to book an appointment, I'm going to stay afterwards and I can book an appointment for you at the Resiliency Center where we can do a proper needs assessment. Questions?
Thank you, Jesse. And now we want to move and we'll give some infrastructure updates in terms of some of the damages and some of the impacts to that. And first up, we have Dean Daniels here from the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thanks, Mayor Bumstead. Our primary focus was the main highways and arterials throughout our Peace District here. Right now, all the highways are open to the flow of traffic, albeit at points in time there'll be single lane alternating. We will have traffic control in places along the highway network. So just be cautious when you're driving. Next, moving into the side road network, our primary focus there was to get to people who are isolated and cut off from our infrastructure. So right now, we've got to everybody, I believe, and we haven't heard any more. So if you are impacted and isolated, please give us a call at the local office here in town, and we'd be more than happy to get out there and get you going. We have approximately between 180 and 200 pieces of equipment working throughout the area. Numerous bridges and multi-plate large culverts were impacted. We have our engineering staff, both geotechnical and structural engineers, out assessing all our areas and bridges and pipes to give us a prescription on how to move forward with that. We have construction experts and environmental experts on hand as well, giving us a hand with that, just to ensure we make things proper there. So far, we've got half of the side road network open that had been closed off, so we're progressing pretty well on that. We're capturing anywhere from 5 to 8 particular sites a day, and at points in time, maybe up to 10. So far, we're progressing quite well at that. Other than that, we'll be going back to address some potential slides and washouts and slips that are plugging our ditches. That'll be one of the last things that we'll get to. And right now, our focus for the Pine Pass to get that open is towards the week's end, so we're progressing quite well there as well. Any questions?
Yeah, federal government just gave, what was it, $500 million to BC for infrastructure. I was wondering if any of that money was going to be allocated here for Dawson Creek to remove 8th Street and put a bridge in there. As we're all very aware,
yeah, that's
every year that we do have a flood, Lake Dawson seems to form from 8th Street all the way back. And if we had a proper bridge there, we would not be dealing with these kinds of meetings, and we would not have been dealing with that bridge. $500 million, most of which I hear is being spent in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver, and as usual, we are being neglected up here in the north. I think it's time that we dug that street up and put in a bridge.
That's a fair question, and right now, our focus there on 8th Street is just to get that infrastructure back up so we have the full 4 lanes. And we are going to be assessing that in the near future here with our structural engineers. So, point well taken. Thank you. Any other questions?
Department of Highways tells me that I'm responsible for the culverts into my farms. They've both been completely washed out, the top entrance and the bottom entrance. And I'm wondering if Department of Highways is going to fix that, or if that's my responsibility still to fix it. It's not insurable, and I do not qualify for any of the assistance that you people are giving. I don't have any big equipment. I don't have the expertise. I don't have the money to do it. And depending on you guys to fix that, will you fix them?
Yeah, depending on the situation, and if we're working right adjacent there, we'll definitely go out and have a look at that to see what we can do to help those that.
Well, I need you to do more than just look at it. I need you to fix it. I can't get in there right now. Pretty soon I'll be hauling hay, and I need to get hay in there.
So I'll get your name here offline, and we'll go and check that out. Yep. Any other questions?
I just wanted to know your response on the bridge on 8th Street. You didn't really respond to that in any way. Like, are you guys going to actually look at putting something in there? Because that is the main purpose of all the flooding that happens in Dawson Creek. And this year we were lucky. All those roads got blocked off. There was no access from the north end to the hospital. If somebody got hurt at the north end of Dawson Creek, would have had to go all the way around the dangerous goods route. By that time, somebody having a heart attack or something would be gone. So are they actually going to look at putting a bridge in there, opening up that waterway?
Yeah, we're taking a good close look at that for sure. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dean. And obviously, for us at the city, and I want to give our update now in terms of the infrastructure updates, it obviously is a significant concern in terms of 8th Street. The Premier was here yesterday, and there's nothing like having the Premier look at it and understand the issue. And so we absolutely will continue that message with the province in terms of ensuring that we have that connectivity and that route identified as some changes. So I want to talk about, yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, no, we all get it. We all get it. And so we will absolutely take it forward as a priority with the province to try to get the identification and get it, some work done to it. But that's not what we're going to be doing right now. We're looking at repairing that infrastructure that our city is responsible for. So,
but Dale,
thank you.
Dale Highways has been looking at 8th Street ever since 1974, and it's still not. Are we just going to talk about go through the motions, or are we going to get the job done? There's many people affected up there, and I don't feel any of you guys other than Dean really cares. You guys get paid.
So don't say that to me.
Well,
don't say I don't care.
You don't care, or something would have been
done. Don't say I don't care, because I'm here for this community, born and raised, Wayne. Don't say I don't care. So the first item for us is obviously, sorry, you want to go ahead and ask a question? So I got a bunch of items, so I'm happy to take a question first.
So I can only speak from my experience. I know I'm worried about more rain because I remember back in 2011 it happened, I think there was only a few weeks in between where it happened twice. Are we putting thought into the response for the next time? I know Willowbrook was evacuated. Personally, myself, I took my kids out about 1 o'clock in the morning, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm in chest deep water waking up all my neighbors because their houses are surrounded. So I'm just wondering if there's going to be a plan for if it happens again in the near future, because it's probably going to be worse,
yeah.
Right?
So that's absolutely part of the preparation that you go through in terms of trying to raise that bar higher every day,
right.
Of ensuring that we are prepared and ready for it. And so we got 17th Street fixed. We're into the mitigation of those damages. We know 10th Street is available for us. We got to fix 15th Street, and so that's what I'm going to talk about now.
And I really hope that infrastructure has a plan B if it does happen quick again, so we don't lose access to everywhere.
That's exactly what our city council did today. So first of all, I want to talk about 15th Street because we lost it. That's a significant, the most significant washout that we were impacted by. So we will be, council did receive the report from administration today. We have directed administration now to move forward, and we're going to replace that culvert at 15th Street with a bridge. It was about 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 years ago through a risk management process. The city engaged in purchasing insurance on the major infrastructure in our community. So that facility, that infrastructure, that culvert was insured. And so we will be replacing it. It will be paid for by the insurance company. It won't be a financial burden to the taxpayers. And we are moving forward with that. We looked at a temporary structure for the interim in terms of putting a temporary route around that bridge. It's going to be about, the estimates is about $200,000 to $300,000 to rent a bridge. And so right now we're looking at trying to escalate the repairs as quickly as possible, and we're going to replace that bridge. 2017, we've got the 10th Street Bridge, was already part of our capital project. That bridge will be replaced and is part of the capital program for next year. We're going to elevate that bridge up to the elevations almost to 13th Street to the library. We're going to raise it up so that it is above some of those higher flood level waters. And that's part of our capital program. That work was already identified and underway for us. 17th Street obviously will be the third link in terms of that connection for us. And that work has now been completed, and we do have it open and repaired. The 108th Avenue down by McDonald's, just off of 17th, 18th Street, has got got single lane alternating. We're going to move to that next to get the repairs completed to that. 4th Street and 108th Avenue is also had some damage, and we're working away at improving and repairing that one. The water system was completely fine. We didn't sustain any damage to the water infrastructure at all. Throughout the process, throughout the flood, throughout the damages, we did not have any issues at all with our drinking water. Buildings, we had some minor leakage, obviously, in some of the buildings. We had some in City Hall. We had some, the Ken Borek Aquatic Center was closed down for Friday because it was experiencing sewer backup. And we had some minor leaks in some of the other facilities, but just from exterior water, nothing that was significant. Calvin Crook Center, with the exterior water and the drain tile, completely was fine throughout it. We had a little bit of leakage, but it wasn't anything that was experiencing significant issues. So we're really happy about that. Rotary Lake obviously was completely consumed with silt and flood, so it'll have to be cleaned. It's normally open about this time of the year, about mid-June. It won't be open now till about 1st of July. And the pump house at Rotary Lake was also flood damaged, and so it'll also be required to be cleaned, but it isn't anything that gives us any concern that it's got damage. The Southeast Mile Zero Park Society are planning that splash park down there. That work was just about ready to get underway. Nothing was started yet, so we don't have any issues with respect to that capital project. Walking trail, we lost the bridge in behind the mall for the walking trail, and but the bridge at the Kin Park, as well as the train cars that were established out on the far east side of town, are still intact. Obviously, the connection, losing the bridge at 15th Street, gave us a loss of that connection of the walking trail. But other than that, the walking trail is now open and cleaned. And so that's really the highlights of our infrastructure issues. Our long-term master transportation plan in terms of planning, and I guess it gets to the lady's question about what we're doing. The long-term transportation plan for our community has that First Street connection. The First Street, there's a bridge in the long-term master transportation plan connecting the north-south at First Street, and that's another piece of discussion now for us, and engaging in that in terms of ensuring we have that looked at as an alternative route. So the gentleman had asked a question about our building, that safety about electrical and things. Please get a hold of our building inspection department at City Hall if you have concerns or questions about that, and we'd be more than happy to engage in those issues or concerns or questions you may have. And they're located at City Hall, and so please give them a call if you have concerns about that. That's it for me. Any questions? I apologize for blowing up. Frank? Can you take the mic so people can hear? I have to, you do.
In all your talking, you never mentioned 102nd by Bergerons. Are you going to do anything there?
Yeah, same thing. It's a priority in terms of how you move forward with the capital programs and the projects that have experienced damage, and so that'll be in the long-term kind of assessment for ensuring we have that accessibility. But right now, it's the streets of 17th, 15th, 10th, and 8th that are the priority. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question. If you can't return to your home because there's mold and mildew, who's going to come in and do that type of testing? My husband has allergies to 11 of the 12 molds, and right now we're driving back and forth to Edmonton.
Yeah, so exactly that. Get to our emergency response people if your home isn't habitable, and the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, that office will be open tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the Calvin Crook Center, and that's exactly what they're there for, to help people with the needs of ensuring that they can get back into either their home or some suitable accommodation in order to be able to move forward.
Yeah, so we were in the middle of moving already for the end of the month, so this just kind of put a damper on things. I do want to say something that I did never get asked to evacuate. I'm on the corner of 17th and Willowbrook. Nobody came to my house. They barricaded me in. I will tell you, though, that there was 2 city workers, and I don't know their names, that kudos to them because they kept me calm and they taught me how to drive out of my front yard. So,
Well, first of all, apologize if that was the case. The firemen were going, the police, the firemen were going door to door down there with that big piece of equipment.
they did come with the fire truck, but not till Thursday afternoon,
Oh, okay.
probably about 1 o'clock, and I'd already made arrangements to get out somehow. So just so you know, nobody
Thank you.
evacuated us at 3 in the
All
morning or 4 in the morning.
I'm happy you're safe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I live on 107th Avenue off of 15th, and in 2007, my sewer got backed up. I phoned about it. It destroyed everything in the basement. They said they were going to look into it. The insurance covered it that time. Then it happened again in 2011. Everything was wiped out again. They were looking into it. They were going to fix the sewer system and everything. Then I got a little bit of a backup last year, and I phoned again, and I got the same story. We're doing Chamberlain, we're doing this area. And I understand this was an unusual amount of water this time, but it seems to me if they'd have started back when I was phoning in 2007, fixing some of these sewer systems while they were building all these new divisions up on the hill that are all pouring down to where I am, if some of those would have been fixed, maybe some of these homes wouldn't be all flooded right now. But they wait until there's a big catastrophe, and then it's like playing catch up all the time.
Certainly the first cog of the sewer infrastructure was to get that sewer bypass line done, and absolutely that identification of the issues faced 107th, 108th Chamberlain Drive. But that major trunk line had to be built in order to relieve, first of all of that pressure that was being put on the main sewer line that runs through there. This year we did have an engineered plan. We approved it through our capital budget of 1.3 or 1.4 million. It is designed exactly for that, to remove and solve that issue of that sewer backup that occurs in that. And when it starts to back up, the storm sewer and the sewer system starts to back up, and when it starts to plug, that's the low spot that it hits, and it's you guys that feel the effects of it. And so this year, that 1.3 million was designed exactly for your resident, your home, and all of your neighbors around that, to try to ensure that we alleviated and fix that problem for you.
So that started in 2007. Why did it take 9 years that we're doing it now? That's 9 years ago, the first time I got flooded.
I can't answer that question for you, sir, but I can tell you that it was part of our capital budget program this year to fix that problem for you. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Mayor McKetty, do you have anything you want to? No? So I'd now like to call on Kerry from the disaster. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
I got a question. So like this gentleman, I've been here in my house on 111th for 25 years. I've had 3 sewer backups. A few years ago, I spent thousands of dollars and put an external backwater valve in after having a lengthy fight with Calvin Crooks over the fact that the sewer system where I live doesn't manage. I took pictures of sewer coming out of the top of the manway. There's no way a backwater valve will withstand 12 or 14 feet of head pressure. And I got the best backwater valve money can buy. I can't, I'm not protected from you.
Yeah.
There is nothing I can do. It's on your hands now. We could put a dozen backwater valves in, it's not going to do us any good.
Yeah, no, and exactly that. We fought it for the staff. We had a dozen back trucks down there that night, trying to keep that pressure off of your backwater valves and your neighbors, exactly because of that. Once that pressure builds, no matter how good your backwater valve is, it isn't going to stop it. And that's where we got to the point where the floodwaters overtook the ability and capacity. But you're absolutely right. That, to me, the core infrastructure of our community, water, sewer, protective services, fire, police, building inspection, all of those things are core. And you should have the confidence that your core infrastructure is going to be there for you to protect you. And so from my perspective, that's exactly why we put it in the capital budget this year. We spent the $8 million in 2013 to get that sewer trunk line done, to remove the pressure off of that main line. And this year, Last year we were fortunate we didn't have any significant events. We had the 1.3 or 1.5 million in this year's budget for that neighborhood, for that area, to try to ensure that we gave you confidence that that system would operate for you like it should. And unfortunately, we got overwhelmed with 90 millimeters of rain in 24 hours, and it not only flooded you, but lots and lots of residents in our community. Any other questions for me? Yes, sir.
Well, you keep throwing out $1.3 million for the repair that you can do in that area. I live on 108th, and thanks to Wawanisa, in the last 10 years, they spent over $300,000 repairing my basement. Because I'm not stupid. I made sure I was insured.
Yeah.
So that's one home. If everyone's had that kind of damage along that area, you really think a $1.3 million repair is going to do the trick?
Yeah, so what I'm saying to you is that that's the capital project this year of 1.3 or 1.5 million we allocated was to do exactly that, to fix that problem for the residents down there.
Well, I'm also remembering the trunk line that you guys put up on the hill there to bypass and alleviate some of that problem.
Yeah.
It's a 16-inch line.
Yeah.
Why don't you just seal those houses off so that that's their sewer line, and we'll stay with the old one.
Yeah.
And when the sewer backs up into all those brand new homes that they built up there, then they'll know what we're feeling like down on the lower end of town.
As I say to you, that's exactly why, to me, you should have the confidence in that sewer system and why we allocated it this year. The $8 million that we spent on that sewer trunk line last year had to be done in order to remove the pressure. Because if we didn't do that, the build and the additional pressure on that main sewer line wouldn't have done anything then, no matter how much money we spent on it.
I've been looking into this, and the only solution I actually have for the problem I have with my sewer system in that area is to fill my basement full of concrete and turn my house into a renter instead of a full basement. So I'm about ready to throw away half the square footage and half the value of my home. Because how do I sell a house that every 5 years, oops, sorry guys, oh, sure hope you're insured. Like, I don't know, I'm going to figure out how much concrete's going to take, because it's one of the options I have to look at.
Yeah. Any other questions for me? No. No. Yes, Edmund.
Hey, sir. How are you? A little exciting. The bone of contention that I have is 8th Street Dam. I don't call it a crossing. It's a dam, and the pictures that you put on Facebook yourself show that. Anybody can see that the floodwaters come to 8th Street, and from there on, she's backed up all the way through town. These people wouldn't have these sewer worries if this thing was. I'm wondering how we can assist you, the community, the citizens of this area, to make sure that the highways puts a bridge in there. I could do it before frost comes, you know. We know that the Americans built the highway in a matter of a few months. We should be able to get this government that we have to put in that bridge in a matter of a few months. And if we can assist you, or if we can help you get this thing rolling, you're in a position to, you know, to maybe fight this thing on, that I think we should get our heads together and help you get this going. And by the way, I wouldn't apologize too much. I like seeing a little fire. That's why I like you. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks. So I want to ask if we can have Carrie from the Disaster Financial Assistance Program come up, and she'll give you an overview of that program and what they're here to do.
Hope you can hear me okay. Hi there, thanks for coming out. My name's Carrie Dalloway, and I am the coordinator for the Recovery and Funding Program with Emergency Management BC. Our group administers the Disaster Financial Assistance Program. I know that many of you have been profoundly affected by the flooding, and I want you to know that we are committed to helping you. The DFA team are prepared to do everything we can to help you get financial assistance as quickly as possible. I just want to take a few minutes to explain briefly what DFA is and how to apply. DFA is a provincial program that operates under the Emergency Program Act. This is important for you to know. Who is eligible for DFA and what we cover is based on legislation. It's applied consistently and fairly across all province for all disasters. Every application is evaluated using the same criteria, and compensation we pay is consistent for every event, regardless of the type of disaster or where in the province it has occurred. DFA is authorized for certain types of disasters where the losses are not insurable and other programs are not available. Many types of disasters, as you know, are insurable. For example, you can buy insurance for fire, earthquake, sewer backup, sump pump failure, to name but a few. If you have insurance, I would encourage you to contact your insurance broker as a first step. They will determine if any portion of the damage is considered an insurable loss. Overland flood insurance is starting to be offered as an insured peril in our province. It is expected that in the next 2 years, this insurance will be reasonably and readily available for single-family residential homes. The phrase readily available means that a person could obtain this insurance from a local broker. What's important is that the price of insurance is reasonable considering the risk. We have contacted the Insurance Bureau of Canada and have confirmed that for this area, overland flood insurance is not currently readily available. We encourage you to apply. We need you to know that DFA is a limited program, and it helps to replace or restore essential items and personal property that has been lost or destroyed. DFA alone cannot cover all of your losses. It is not insurance. But we can help to restore the essentials, to make sure you have a roof over your head, that your home is safe and dry. If you're a small business owner, DFA can help to restore your livelihood. We can also compensate small businesses for essential items that have been damaged or destroyed in the flood. There are 5 categories in the private sector to apply for disaster financial assistance: homeowners, tenants, small business, farm owners, and charitable organizations. We are here as part of the broader community response with the help of your community, friends, family, other volunteer organizations, support groups, and local businesses, and disaster financial assistance from the province. The goal is that together we can help you recover from this disaster. On the back table are copies of the DFA guide that explain the program and the specific eligibility criteria in more detail and probably much more clearly than I can. Briefly, to be eligible for DFA, there must be more than $1,000 worth of eligible damage. Financial assistance is provided at 80% of the amount of total eligible damage that exceeds $1,000. The procedure to apply for DFA is quite simple. You need to complete the first 2 pages of the application form. The 2 appendices that are attached to the application do not need to be submitted when you apply. Use these 2 appendices to track your cleanup hours and your damage assessments by room. The 2 documents can then be provided to the Disaster Financial Assistance field evaluator when he comes to your home. Once the application is received in our office, it is reviewed to make sure that it meets the basic eligibility criteria, and then it is assigned to our field evaluator. Once assigned, the evaluator will contact you to schedule a meeting and a site visit. This usually occurs within 24 to 48 hours. After the site visit, the evaluator will submit a report to our office where it is reviewed, and if eligible, payment is authorized. We then mail the claimant a confirmation letter followed by a check. With me today is our field evaluator, Tim McLeod. We also have a telephone number you can call to ask our staff any questions. The phone number and our website information is all included in the DFA guidelines and on all the applications. So help yourself to take one on the way out, and we will be at the Resiliency Center tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Any questions? We'll have representation at the Resiliency Center for the next 10 days, so there will be documentation there. So at this time, I'll pass the mic over to our field evaluator, Tim McLeod, who can talk about the process that he goes through.
Hi. I assume everybody can hear me. I'm pretty loud mouthed. They just wanted me to go through sort of the process of what you can expect and sort of what the next steps are for you guys. What's going to happen is once you get in that application form and get it into Victoria, like they said, there's lots of applications at the back of the room here. You can also get them online. Once they get the application and they review them, they assign them back to me, and that's when the actual rubber hits the pavement. So they'll assign the application to me. Once I get it back, I'll contact you within 24 hours. I'll give you a phone call and we can set up an appointment. And then I can come out to your place and we can start doing an assessment of the actual damage. That's what I'm going to do. What I'll ask you to do when I call is the back 2 pages of the application is a cleanup log, and it's to log all the hours that you've been spending so far. Eligible cleanup can be your cleanup. That's eligible and it's compensated for under the legislation. So it's important to track that, what you were doing and how long you were doing it for. Because you're finding that out today and been cleaning for days. If you kind of get a calendar and just sort of, ballpark, get as close as you can to accurate. No one expects you to be perfect on it. There's a form also back there called items listed for damage assessment. What that really means is contents. We're builders, all us evaluators, we're not insurance people, we're actually builders. When they assign the application to us, we don't really go through eligibility, we go through the building. So we're all builders. So we can look at the building damage. You don't really have to list that for us, but we don't want to count how many socks and underwear you have. If you can list that, that's what that's for. And if you can list it by room, then they have allowances with different rates for kids' shoes as opposed to adult shoes or work boots. So if you can do that, that really speeds it up. They're also going to ask us to collect the insurance denial letter from your insurer. Overland flooding hasn't been available until now, and I don't know if anyone will actually have it, but because they don't know that, they're going to want to see that. So your broker, a call to him, and he'll print out a letter and send it to you, and they'll need that to close the file. So once me or one of my guys comes out to the site, we'll go over the guidelines with you and sort of go over eligibility and a little bit better than we can in a public meeting like this, and more sort of pertinent to your own place. We'll record the damage. We'll take a few photographs to put a report together. We write a pretty brief report to Victoria. They already know it rained and flooded here. We just give them a brief report about this is the damage. The guy had 18 inches of water in his house, and this is what he's got to do to get his life back in order. That process doesn't take very long. As soon as we do that, we send them in electronically to Victoria so they can have them the day we finish them. We finish them in the evening. They have them the next morning when they come in. That's my job and your job done. Their job is to pay you. So once I get that in, they review it, make sure I added 1 and 1 really is 2, and they can send out a check for eligible costs. You asked about your driveway. If it's not a highway driveway and it's your driveway, one of the things that's eligible, and I'll just touch on eligibility just briefly. It's a long list of things that are eligible and a long list, sadly, of things that aren't. But in short form, essential access is always eligible. The province is committed to making sure you can get essential access so you can get to your house. Also, always eligible is to make sure your house is warm, dry, safe, not going to fall over, and then it's disinfected. So someone asked about the mold and what do I do about it. If it's been wet, it's going to mold. If the drywall's been wet, it's going to mold, and worse than that, in behind it, it is underneath your kitchen counters, underneath your bathtub. They need to open that up and get that out. When we come out, we can go over it. If you're planning on doing it yourself, we can give you some guidance. If you're going to get a contractor, we can give you some tips of maybe some things to sort of monitor your contractor. All the rates we used are based on industry standard rates. The rates we use are rates you can really hire someone to do it. If you do it yourself, we calculate it at industry standard rates, regardless of who does it. So it's a way to save a little bit through sweat equity. They don't pay the first $1,000 isn't claimable, and 80% of the balance is, and maybe some of that can be offset by some sweat equity. It's not nice, but it at least is a little bit of help. And because of that, they let us calculate it all as if a contractor was in to do it. I just wanted to say too about that resilience center. That resilience center really is all the place you can bring any questions, whether it's for the electrical department, the public health. Anybody can. If you go to the resilience center, their function, and the city of Dawson Creek is opened one, which is great. And what they'll do is they'll have people in there who can answer any question. If they don't have the answer, they'll go find the answer for you. And it's probably not the right place to say this, but it's a great place to go for help. But if you can provide help, that's the place you go to, and that's where volunteers will show up there, and they'll try and match the needs. There's some people here, they were talking about the gentleman who is a senior citizen and maybe can't do it himself and needs some help. There's volunteers out there that have offered to help. So that would be the linking point for the Resilience Center. It's a great place. The only other caution I have is there's a needs assessment form that you may be filled out, and that's so that people can link you in with maybe some of the NGOs. Don't be confused. Don't confuse that with the application. That happens sometimes, that you think you've filled out the paperwork because you told someone what you needed. If it's not the DFA application, we wouldn't know that you applied. So please don't confuse those. And that's all I have to say here, but I'm open to questions. No, perfect. Well, I'll see you at your house.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, you wanted to have one more word?
I heard somebody ask about being out of their house tonight and not able to go back due to mold and mildew. If you are out of your home and ESS has run out, please come see me tonight after this meeting, because Red Cross will help with accommodation until you can get somewhere safe. We work with DFA, and anything they don't handle, we try and fill in. So I know there was at least 2 people talking about not having a safe place to be tonight. So come see me after this meeting, please.
Thank you, Jesse. So really the crux of this evening was really about this. Wanted to give our community, our region, Puskupi, the opportunity to give some information in terms of what we've been doing, what we're working on. But really, this evening for me was ensuring that this disaster resiliency, this disaster financial assistance program, for those people that don't have the programs, don't have access, and are facing financial hardships as a result of this program is designed exactly for that. And so it really was, to me, critical that we try to have this information session tonight so that people have the understanding that the program is there. It is there for you, and it is going to be available starting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the Calvin Crook Center. And the key component, I think, was stressed by Tim and by Carrie is really about getting that first step started, get the application, get into the Resilience Center, get in and get that application started and get it filed and get it sent in so that you start the process of being able to engage with it and start to understand then the components of what and how you can be affected in a positive way from it. So now I'd like to really open it up to questions for anybody on any of the aspects or any questions you may have about any aspect of tonight that you'd like to ask anybody here.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question that's kind of floating around here in the audience is the Resilience Center opens up at 9 a.m., but what time does it close? And do those 10 days include this weekend?
Red Cross is open the Resiliency Center starting 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Will be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Through till Friday. Friday is 9 to 5. Saturday is 10 to 4. Sunday is 10 to 4. And then we'll see based on need what the hours will be next week.
So everybody's been asking so far about coverage for houses, but does that also include outbuildings, like if you had a barn or a garage or something that was just gone now?
Generally don't like to get into specific eligibility questions. Those types of questions are better addressed one-on-one, but most of the answers you'll be able to find that in our guidelines. If your outbuilding is considered an essential building, it would be, but if it's not considered essential, perhaps not.
Again, great question, right? In terms of understanding that eligibility of what can we apply for it, that's, to me, stress, get that application completed and get yourself into the system so that it's into Victoria. They get it assigned to somebody who can then start to work and help you manage your way through it. Nicole?
Hi, Dale. I just have a question on behalf of the tenants whose landlords are now looking at this at, well, okay, I've provided a temporary residence, but now you're going to get 4 or 5 times the amount of rent. Is there a protection agency that we as tenants can go to?
I would recommend if something like that happens, you contact the residential tenancy branch.
Is there some legal obligation on their behalf of like so much, like whether they have to be allowed us back in or not?
That's, sorry, not my area of expertise, but certainly residential tenancy has a 1-800 number, and I'm sure if you put it in Google that you'll be able to find that.
And also, I think through MLA Bernier's office, Cindy probably will be able to have the contact information for you as well. Other questions? Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering if the regional district can do anything about the tipping fees at the garbage dumps and stuff like that, because there's going to be tons of homeowners hauling tons of stuff in there.
So what we've done within the city is I got contacted Thursday by AltaGas, and AltaGas reached out and said, we'd like to give you some money to your community for your disaster relief fund. And so it was about 10 minutes before that, a lady had phoned in exactly that question. We've got these tipping fees, and so what we did is I got to AltaGas and said, if we put some dumpsters around the community, can we use that 10 grand to pay for those dumpsters? And so where you're seeing those ones at Kitchen Park and at ICG, the city is going to continue to maintain those and deliver those for the residents that don't have coverage, don't have an insurance company looking after it, and they'll be there for as long as we can keep them going and fund them, so they'll be there for the next week. Just wanted to try to find a way to provide that support. Yep, Brett?
That's being brought up at Thursday's board meeting. We just have to figure out a way of system of doing it. But forgiving the tipping fees for this is being brought up this Thursday.
Sorry. One of the problems is with those dumpsters, and we appreciate them putting the money forward for that. There's one half a block from my house on 102nd Ave in the old RCR building.
The problem is within 12 hours, they become completely overfull. They bring a new one out. 12 hours later, it was completely full again. One of the problems that we face, and we'd love to be able to take it out to Bessborough or some other place, is we have a 100-pound couch that's full of water and now weighs 500 pounds, and we can't lift that over our head to put it up into one of those dumpsters. So I'm just trying to let you know that we appreciate them doing that, but they're really limited. So
yeah, there's no easy solution when you're trying to provide that with those big, large dumpsters. And we got that. And over the weekend, Waste Management weren't working, so we knew that they were getting overfilled. We're trying to manage them now on a daily basis in order to keep them from getting overfilled too deep. But it's just one option that we tried to come up with for the residents who were dealing with it.
We really do appreciate that. We do. If they can, it's a suggestion to you guys, because nobody thinks about it. If we can actually walk into those and put stuff into those couches that I'm sure, and I've watched other people do it, there's no way you can lift those. If they can make them so that we could walk in and put them in, because we can't lift them that high.
Well, we'll hopefully, as Director, Acting Chair of the Board from the Peace River Regional District, hopefully on Thursday the Board will address it, and if they waive the tipping fees, then it's a non-issue for you. You can just absolutely take it out to the landfill site and dump it without any charge.
I hate to say this, and I appreciate that fact. Sometimes we need to look forward, and unfortunately, this is going to happen again. If you guys can put something in place for the future, for the next time it does happen, already enacted in your policy, that they just waive those tipping fees and allow them to, because by the time Thursday rolls around, sir, most of us, I really hope that most of us have already done our cleanup. And so if they could be looked at and put in place for the next time it happens, because it's already in policy, you can just say, good, they're open for you.
Great point. Great point. We'll follow it up on Thursday with the board.
If you have hauled anything to the dump already, save your receipts. Okay, so we can talk about it and we'll find some way. If you're hauling away stuff from this flood, save the receipts for us, please.
Yes, Kevin.
Dale, I bought a house on Chamberlain Drive in 1999. It's now 2016. This is the 6th time that the sewer has backed up there. We always are doing this reactive repair rather than doing something proactive. I can't buy insurance. Like most homeowners, my retirement is that home. I'm unable to sell that home. I think I want to just echo everyone's sentiments here that we have to be proactive about fixing this thing and quit fooling around. It's 16 years now, Dale, that this thing has been going on. It's a long time.
Thanks, Kevin. Chris.
Dale, one of the things, and I just want to say the city and the Peace River Regional District did a really good job about communicating during this event. You particularly were giving virtually hourly updates on what was happening. One of the things, though, that I heard from a lot of people is, in addition to obviously the flood damage, we had a lot of people without power. We had a lot of people that didn't have access to internet, didn't have the ability to get that information. And how do we go about as a community communicating to people? And I just want to say, listening to our media, our local media, and there's nobody here, not very impressed. They weren't on the spot with this, and they really should have been. What I heard coming over the radio was a lot of canned messages, the same message for 24 hours straight about the situation. I'm talking about real-time updates, providing people with information about evacuation. So there was no media involvement in that process, providing that instantaneous information to people. Yeah. No, that's great. I would say that your local paper was absolutely terrific. It's available on the internet. What I'm talking about is people who do not have access to the internet. If you don't have access to the internet, if your power is down, then you're not getting that information.
One of the real dilemmas, and I honestly through that all day Thursday and Friday, trying to keep up with the demands of media, trying to keep up with the demands of just informing what was going on, and the city's website, the city's Facebook page. We were just constantly, but you know, and I've thought about it since then. Previous mayors, previous councillors, previous administrations before social media, Facebook and social media was a way for me to engage the community and people that were following it and allowing me to update. But as you say, if people aren't in that medium, how do they get updated? And so it's a real thing that you got to think about in terms of communication is such an important aspect to this, because people need to be informed on what's going on. And so the media, social media, and it's an aspect I think we need to think about in terms of how do we continue to inform and continue to update people in terms of what's going on, because that's the important piece. Yeah, honestly, I don't know the question to it, but it's one that I'm thinking about in terms of we need to find some, no matter what you do in terms of how you communicate, you can always do better, and we got to find ways to do a better job of that in lots of ways. Yes, ma'am.
The fellow who was up here a couple of minutes ago, he was talking about he's a retired person, and one of the requirements for to apply for this application is that your primary source of income has to be a job or something like that. You have to have more money than suppose if you were farming and you were retired and you only had pension, would you qualify for this? Because if your pension is more than what your farm income is, does that mean you would not be able to qualify? Because lots of older people are doing hobby farming. They're not making that much money on their farm, but their pension may be a few dollars more than what their farm income is. Does that mean they are not qualified if they're on pension?
That's correct, yeah. And our legislation the way our legislation is written, it's delivered fairly and consistently. It has been since 1995. But what I would recommend, or what I would suggest, is that's why this community has disaster financial assistance. We also have the Red Cross, we have the Salvation Army, we have other organizations that are prepared to come together for those that do not qualify, and perhaps there's some unmet needs that can be met through other organizations.
As Carrie indicates, that's one of the real reasons we wanted to make sure all the agencies were here, and it's a resiliency center and not just the provincial disaster recovery center or programs, but all of it, to ensure that the residents, anybody impacted, we can exhaust every opportunity, every option for our community and our residents. Other questions? So honestly, we say this in all sincerity on behalf of everybody here. 3 days ago, the region and our community was being devastated with this floodwater, and tonight we really wanted to make sure we tried to engage and provide you with the information, the options, the alternatives that are out there, and try to escalate that as quickly as possible, because we get that aspect. Things, you need to be doing this stuff today. So hopefully tomorrow, tonight, you get the application forms and you start the process. And please engage with these folks tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock when that center opens, and allow yourself the option to get in and find those alternatives that are going to hopefully work for you and mitigating the damages that you've sustained. I want to express my appreciation on behalf of everybody here tonight for everybody coming out. And as lots of them have said, there's information and pamphlets here available and contact information. So if you have any questions of Northern Health or Red Cross or the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, that's what this was for tonight. So thanks very much. We appreciate you coming out.